Hello and welcome to This Week, a weekly news program. I'm your host, Anur Gambatr. And for top stories for this week, updates from the cabinet meeting, strengthening the response to gender-based violence in Mongolia project closure event was held on March 27th, and ambassadors present letter of credence to the President of Mongolia. And for the news, stay tuned. The regular cabinet meeting of the government was held on March 29th. The cabinet made several decisions during that meeting. During a meeting with representatives of university teachers and students, the Prime Minister of Mongolia, Oyurden Losnamsra, discussed proposals and requests which were later addressed in a government meeting. As a result, decisions were made to increase the number of participants in the student soldier program, apart from military schools, to 1,500 in 2023. Relevant ministers have been instructed to implement organizational measures needed to facilitate this. In addition, the Prime Minister directed that students should be involved in the prevention, early detection and diagnosis of both infectious and non-infectious diseases in 2023. State-owned universities and libraries are to be open 24/7 during student examinations. Electronic payment cards for public transportation using the e-Mongolia system will also be issued to students of universities, colleges, professional and technical training institutions in order to increase the number of students using public transport. Furthermore, the government will provide services to students through the e-student window as a part of the e-Mongolia system. After reviewing over 30 government proposals related to Member of Parliament in Holt's draft law on amendments to the law on the election of the Great Horde of Mongolia, it was decided to submit the proposal changes to lawmakers. One of the key proposals was to require that at least 35% of the candidates in the draft law on parliamentary elections should be of one gender. Additionally, the government proposed that political parties release lists of 38 candidates, with 50% of the candidates being female and alternating male and female names. Amroy Sakhlin, the head of the state government, announced this proposal. MNB Mongolia LLC will revise its policies and make changes to the charters of its subsidiaries, affiliated companies, and affiliated legal entities in accordance with the principle of unified governance and the parent company's charter. The government of Mongolia has decided to operate the subsidiaries, affiliated companies, and affiliated legal entities of MNB Mongolia LLC on a group basis to adopt good practices and trends used by the successful international mining companies. The expansion will include Ignit Industry, Dark Iron and Steel Industry, Mongol Rostsvetment, and Mongolian Oil Refinery. To implement good international governance practices, MNB Mongolia LLC will comply with international principles issued by the International Cooperation and Development Organization, as well as Mongolia's laws and regulations. Changes will be introduced gradually to ensure that good practices are incorporated into the governance system of joint companies, improving the integrated system and coordination of joint operations. Shareholders at the association level will be responsible for the results based on pure business principles, and they will work with professionally developed strategic planning systems, financial control, accounting and reporting, and internationally acceptable external audits. Transparency and good governance practices will be introduced to improve the overall effectiveness of the company. The Finance Minister Jauhlin and Energy Minister Chersuru have been directed to secure the financing required for technical supervision of the construction work in the Ittenburung hydroelectric power plant project. They are instructed to include the necessary funds for technical supervision of the construction work via foreign loans and aid in Mongolian investments. To fully implement the project's detailed environmental impact assessment, environmental management plan, environmental status assessment, and cultural heritage preservation in 2024, the remaining compensation funds for the affected migrant families and households, properties, and every citizen will be included in the 2024 state budget. The Ministry of Culture will provide professional and methodological assistance to arrange the preservation of cultural heritage impacted by the project. In other news, the higher education majors and in-demand programs necessary for Mongolia's development have been approved, and the Education and Science Minister has been directed to establish a methodology to determine the number of students enrolled in these fields, admission thresholds, and student supervision for loan grants. Additionally, the government will allocate 1 billion MNT from its reserve fund to upgrade the State Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra string, bow and string instruments, digital concert hall equipment, and sound equipment. Strengthening the response to gender-based violence in Mongolia project has been implemented since 2019. As part of this project, governmental organizations and non-governmental organizations joined together and implemented many kinds of activities to reduce gender-based violence. The closure event of this project was held on March 27th in Ulaanbaatar city. Building upon the context, situation analysis and strategic prioritization of the intervention areas, the International Development Organization worked with a range of stakeholders to increase access to justice for victims of domestic violence and advocate effectively for the improvement of DV legislation and related services and raise public awareness on gender-based violence and DV, their root causes and contributing factors, and provide information to victims of gender-based violence regarding their legal rights, available remedies, and protection mechanisms.
The focus is on capacity development along the justice chain in Mongolia. And so what do I mean by the justice chain? I mean, it means frontline service providers, services that are provided often by civil society organizations, the Authority for Family, Child and Youth Development, paralegals. It's strengthening those folks on the front lines. And the training there has focused on how do we put victims, survivors of domestic violence and gender-based violence at the center of our work, be it on the front lines or along the justice chain.
This project has been ongoing for 4 years, and as part of this project, 61 organizations from 19 provinces joined this forum in 2019, including the Forum of Civil Society Organizations. When it was first established, it had more than 40 members. We have a lot of capacity within the project, and we implemented 4 functions within the framework of the law and combating domestic violence. One of them was providing services to victims of domestic violence, empowering non-governmental organization workers, providing methods, conducting evaluation within the framework of the law and combating domestic violence and other laws, and acting as a victim's representative.
The project's goal was to increase access to justice for victims of gender-based violence by identifying the obstacles victims encounter in exercising their rights, extending and improving the legal aid services available to victims, and increasing the knowledge of victims and the general public about the rights of victims in case of domestic violence that incorporated a victim-centered approach through research, capacity-building training, and raising public awareness. Project activities are implemented in close cooperation with the Government of Mongolia, justice sector institutions, professional associations of lawyers, academia, and civil society. Mongolian civil society organizations are trained on trial observation in domestic violence cases, with a focus on ensuring victim-centeredness. International Development Law Organization trained 34 trial monitors, including CSO representatives, to conduct domestic violence trial monitoring for 57 criminal and offense trials, to assess the application of a victim-centered approach during judicial proceedings and compliance with relevant domestic violence legislation.
We jointly implemented this project from 2019 to 2023 in cooperation with the International Development Legal Organization. Everyone needs to understand domestic violence so that it can be prevented, because it's important to influence people's attitude. Trainers have been taught to impact this understanding to the public, and these trainers have passed on those skills to trainers from 21 provinces and 9 districts in regional format. These trained professionals organize the training in their locality.
International Development Law Organization is dedicated to empowering women and girls and ensuring gender equality through the rule of law. IDLO currently implements projects in several countries to combat discriminatory laws, develop gender-responsive legal and institutional frameworks, enhance women's access to justice, and increase women's empowerment through sustainable development and economic opportunities. Ambassadors from 10 different countries presented their letters of credence to the President of Mongolia, Hursokhna, on Monday, marking the beginning of their diplomatic missions in the country. Among the ambassadors were Helena Sengland of Sweden, Pahin Dato Rahmani Dato Basir of Brunei Darussalam, Maya Manik of Latvia, Andres Riken of Austria, Irit Ben Abed Vital of Israel, Gustavo Sabino Vacanaraha of Argentina, Elena Kaisa Mikola of Finland, Alp Busaidi of Oman, Hussein Rabehi of Algeria, and Dmitry Ponomarenko of Ukraine. During this ceremony, the ambassadors each presented their letters of credence to the President, formally beginning their diplomatic duties in Mongolia. In their respective speeches, they expressed their commitment to strengthening the relationship between their countries and Mongolia, as well as deepening cooperation in areas such as trade, investment, education, culture, and tourism. President Hursokhna welcomed the ambassadors and emphasized the importance of diplomacy and international cooperation in promoting global peace and development. He also expressed his appreciation for the ambassadors' efforts to enhance the friendship and cooperation between their countries and Mongolia. The presentation of letters of credence is a formal protocol event that takes place when a new ambassador arrives in a foreign country. It signifies the official recognition of the ambassador's credential by the host country's government and the beginning of the ambassador's diplomatic mission. The new ambassadors will work to promote their respective countries' interests in Mongolia and they strengthen the bond of friendship and cooperation between their countries and Mongolia. Their tenure in the country is expected to further deepen the already strong ties between Mongolia and the international community. The Village Francophone, a cultural event aimed at promoting the French language and culture, was held for the second time at the Squat Square on March 26. The event was organized by the Alliance Française in collaboration with the French Embassy in Mongolia. The Village Francophone, a cultural event aimed at promoting the French language and culture, took place for the second time at the Squat Square in Lombat City. Organized by the Alliance Française in collaboration with the French Embassy, the event showcased the rich cultural heritage of Francophone countries through a range of activities such as opera singing, video presentations, concerts, culinary videos, and more. The event was well attended and provided an opportunity for locals to experience the French culture and language while also connecting French expats in Mongolia with each other. The opening remarks were given by the Ambassador of France to Mongolia, His Excellency Sébastien Sorin, Director of Alliance Française, Mr. Nicolas Pubil-Marnelli, and representative of the City Council, Mr. Tumur Tumur. In his remark, Ambassador Sorin highlighted the importance of cultural exchanges in strengthening the ties between France and Mongolia.
It is very much a Mongolian event. We help drive it, but with the help of the city, with the help of companies, NGOs, universities, government agencies here as well. This is what makes the French language alive in Mongolia, and it's spoken by, we estimate, probably about 6,000 people. So about 6,000 people speak French. We are training, and when I say we, it's French, Mongolian, other institutions are training more and more people because we see that French, like any language, brings something more. It opens up employment, it opens up university, it opens up science, literature, art, travel. So all these dimensions are something that we can bring to Mongolians through the French language. And today we are teaching language at the National Defense University. We're learning French. There are kids learning French in school number 1, just here next door. In the National University of Mongolia, we also have some people from the OBEC, from the National Emergency Management Agency, learning French because we have a very big cooperation with them.
The event included a range of activities aimed at showcasing the rich cultural heritage of the Francophone countries. The program started with an opera singing performance by local artists, followed by a video presentation on the French language and culture. A short film was also screened highlighting the contributions of French culture to the world, and this was followed by a concert featuring local artists performing French songs. The event also included a culinary video showcasing the traditional French cuisine. In addition to the performances, there were also educational activities for visitors to learn more about the French language and culture. Visitors could interact with the representatives from Alliance Française and participate in language learning activities. The event was well attended, with visitors from all walks of life coming to experience the rich cultural heritage of the Francophone countries. The event provided an opportunity for locals to experience the French culture and language and for French expats in Mongolia to connect with each other.
This event is being held at the Sukhbadar Square for the second year since 2022. Never before has it been held on such a large scale and being open to the public. Mongolia established diplomatic relations with France many years ago. There is a great relationship between both countries in education, culture and tourism. With the organization of the Culture and Tourism Day of this country, the residents of the capital will learn about French culture and history, as well as that they will be introduced to services and business organizations related to France. France will host the Summer Olympics in 2024, so travel companies are keenly promoting the event.
The success of the event has paved the way for future cultural exchange between France and Mongolia. The organizers hope to continue holding the Village Francophone in Lombat City and promote cultural exchanges between the two countries. The grand final competition of the French Cultural Days was organized at Ulaanbaatar Theatre on March 25th. On the occasion of the International Day of the Francophone on March 20th, the Alliance Française of Mongolia, in collaboration with the Embassy of France in Mongolia and other Francophone partners, organized a series of French language and cultural events at various favorite cultural sites of Ulaanbaatar city.
Between March 11 and 25, French language competitions were organized in secondary schools, universities, and in cooperation with other institutions. The competitions were open to public in 3 categories: children, teenagers, and adults. In the play 10 Words of the grand final competition, 10 contestants competed with each other. The winner of the competition will be awarded with traveling to Paris. Therefore, various interesting stories regarding France and art performances.
So the different content we will have today is like the poetry, singing competition, and dis-moi 10 mots, tell me 10 words. So dis-moi 10 mots, it's people who write 10 according to 10 words that are linked with the French ministry. They wrote a story, and today they're going to perform the text that they wrote. So the idea is to play with the French language and to do some activities linked with the French language. The francophonie that we are organizing, like this year is the 24th edition, and the grand finale is like one major event of the francophonie. It gathers all our partners, all the universities, all the places in Ulaanbaatar where we can study French, in Alliance Française of course, but also in several universities, National University of Mongolia, City University, University of Defense. So this afternoon we welcome like the teenagers and the adults, but this morning we had also a contest in the French school for the kids.
2 weeks where we celebrate the French language. And I think it's a vibrant language in Mongolia, also because it's language we want to share. We don't like to have people put in one box because of their identity, because of their language, because of their nationality. But the idea is an extra language is something else. It's kind of a gift, actually, that connects you to a different culture, to a different literature, to songs behind me. And we see that as an opportunity to be something more, not to be something reduced to one identity. And I think it's important these days when we hear people saying, well, if you speak that language, you belong to this country only, and they have the right to claim you, to claim your territory. We have the exact opposite way of seeing foreign languages and our own language as something as open as possible.
This activity is unique in that it unites all French-speaking and cultural representatives in Mongolia, embassies in Mongolia, training and research institutions, and French business, trade and tourism organizations. A variety of cultural activities will be organized as part of the French-speaking festival with the aim of promoting French-speaking countries and their culture in Ulaanbaatar.
I performed the Champs-Élysées by Zaz version because the Zaz version was the newest version of the Champs-Élysées. It was like kind of pop music for the Joe Dassin version. So it was kind of like upbeating, so people will most likely to like this upbeating music. So I chose this song and performed it. I'm interested into like R&B and rap songs because like French rap songs are like more different than the other rap songs. So I into R&B and rap songs.
The following activities will be organized during the 24th French Speakers Day in 2023.
Well, that's all for this week. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.